Now to President Biden, saying the U.S. is ruling out Ukraine's request for fighter jets for the moment. Here's what he told ABC News tonight.
We know the Germans are now sending tanks in after the U.S. said it would send Abrams tanks as well. But we know President Zelensky continues to say what he really needs are F-16s. Will you send F-16s?
Look, we're sending him what our seasoned military thinks he needs now. He needs tanks, he needs artillery, he needs air defense, including another HIMARS. There's things he needs now that we're sending him to put him in a position to be able to make gains this spring and this summer going into the fall.
You don't think he needs F-16s now?
No, he doesn't need F-16s now.
Is that a never?
Look, first of all, the idea that we know exactly what's going to be needed a year, 2, 3 from now, but there is no basis upon which there is a rationale, according to our military now, to provide F-16s.
But you're not ruling it out?
I am ruling it out for now.
For now.
Okay, let's bring in Michael Bociurkiw. He's the former spokesperson for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and he joins us from Kyiv. Michael, great to see you. You have spent much of this past year living in Ukraine. So tell us, I mean, you heard there President Biden saying that he's ruling it out for now. What do you think Ukrainians need most right now?
Good to be with you, Alisyn. Well, I can tell you those words will not go over well here in Ukraine, especially after the fuzzy, warm visit President Biden did a few days ago here. The feeling here is definitely, please give us everything President Zelensky asked for. So, of course, that includes attack helicopters, that includes the weaponry President Biden cited, but it also includes those fighter jets. And I do wonder what President Biden said to President Zelensky when they met here, when the president asked for those fighter jets. And, you know, I'm not pleased with what I'm hearing out of the mouths of former U.S. officials. The former Deputy Secretary General of NATO, who's an American, said, well, the reason we can't give fighter jets is because it takes a long time to train Ukrainian fighter pilots. Well, had they done this before the full-scale invasion, Ukrainian pilots would be in a position probably right now to get into the cockpits of those jets. So I think it's a very weak argument, and I think it only serves to prolong the war even further.
Michael, you sent us some video that you've taken of the emptiness of the streets there, the emptiness of store shelves, the emptiness of train stations. We'll play some of that for our viewers right now. And so what is it like to be living there?
Sure. Well, it's very sad, actually, and I've been here on and off since before the start of the war. You know, you can see the sadness, I wouldn't say hopelessness, but sadness etched on the faces of almost everyone you encounter here, because when there's no end in sight to the war, that's very sad. And I think a lot about my friends who have small and medium-sized businesses who are basically on life support at the moment. The huge damage done to the agricultural sector, which represents a big part of the Ukrainian economy. And then, Alisyn, quickly, just, you know, the overall mental health. I mean, I remember when you and I were on air way back in April. I just came back from Chernihiv and saw the strikes, which have been increasing on civilian areas. You know, those images of the bomb craters with shredded teddy bears in them, and broken toys and remnants of kids. You know, this is happening on an increasing basis. You talked earlier about that strike on Dnipro. So this war needs to end quickly to avoid more human suffering.
And you probably just heard Clarissa Ward's reporting there that there's reason to believe that Russia may be preparing for an even bigger assault now that it's, you know, to mark the 1 year of the war. Is there a sense of that there?
I think there is a fear of that here, that, you know, they know the Russian mind very well here and have watched Mr. Putin carefully. This is not a man who is easily defeated, who retreats. So I think there is this big fear that he will make another strike from the north, from the east, and from the south. And as Clarissa mentioned, they have no qualms about using the human meat grinder approach to try and strike at Ukraine. But let's be clear, if we can, about one thing. If Mr. Putin isn't stopped, and he's made clear that he would like to recreate the Soviet Union, take more countries under his fold, that this will not only severely weaken democracy, but also embolden other would-be leaders, autocrats rather, around the world, including China. And that will bring this war to the doorstep of every American, of every European, of freedom-loving democracies around the world.
Last, let's talk about China. So as you probably know, China has sort of floated this idea that they could broker some sort of peace deal. President Biden was asked about that today. Let's listen.
What do you make of this Chinese peace plan floated overnight that Putin is now applauding today?
I think you answered the question. Putin's applauding it. So how could it be any good? I'm not being facetious. I'm being deadly earnest. I've seen nothing in the plan that would indicate that there is something that would be beneficial to anyone other than Russia if the Chinese plan were followed. And so the idea that China is going to be negotiating the outcome of a war that's a totally unjust war for Ukraine is just not rational.
Your final thoughts, Michael?
Sure. Well, the Chinese 12-point peace plan is more of a position paper than a peace plan itself. I think it was Jake Sullivan who said they could have stopped at point number 1 and above the emphasis on respecting the sovereignty of nations. But the Chinese, 2 points here quickly. Number one is they've been working very closely with the Russians over the months, including during the COVID pandemic, to help them inoculate themselves against Western sanctions. And number two, I believe they're reporting by others, especially Der Spiegel, that they're working behind the scenes to arm Russia. There's reporting now that Russia negotiating the purchase from China of up to 100 strike drones with 35 to 50 kilogram warheads. So there you go. If they don't do it, obviously they're going to do it through backdoor channels such as North Korea, Iran, and others. So I don't believe the Chinese are genuinely saying they're for the withdrawal of Russia or for genuine peace in this part of the world.
Michael Bociurkiw, great to talk to you. Stay safe. We'll look forward to talking again soon.